like I said, she's just a baby. And not only do these king snakes eat rattlesnakes, but they also eat things like lizards, and they also eat things like rats and mice. And when they eat those rats and mice, they're also eating the ticks on them. Ticks are little bugs that will suck the blood of those mice, and they'll get off of them, get onto you, and make you really, really sick. So, having snakes like rattlesnakes, gopher snakes, king snakes, all sorts of snakes around in our natural ecosystem helps keep us safe from those rats and mice that would be more than happy to crawl through your kitchen, poop on your cereal, and eat everything in your fridge. So, without snakes, we'd be in a lot of trouble. Now, we have some questions about Lydia, the California king snake here.
I don't want to eat it. I don't want.
Hold on, this guy had a question I was listening for.
I don't want. I don't want.
Lorenzo, hush.
Why is it called snake?
So, they're the king of all snakes because they dominate other snakes. They can win a fight against other snakes, including the venomous rattlesnakes. Even if the venomous rattlesnake bites her, she's not going to be hurt by that venom at all. So she can actually take on other snakes. Yeah, she's like the boss, the king of all snakes.
Somebody killing it?
Yeah, these are generally harmless to you and I. They have no venom of their own.
Oh.
But they can actually eat those rattlesnakes.
Do they squeeze them?
Hold on, he's got a question here.
How come they're afraid of rattlesnakes?
Well, these guys aren't really afraid of rattlesnakes. They look out for things like coyotes, bobcats, hawks, and other bigger mammals that would be more than happy to eat a snake like this. Because like I said, even though she looks really cool, she is totally harmless. She has no venom whatsoever. In fact, sometimes if I don't wash my hands, this is why it's so important to wash your hands, kids. Sometimes if I've been holding other snakes and I don't wash my hands, my little finger looks and smells an awful lot like another little baby snake, doesn't it? So, she's been known to bite hold of my finger and try to eat my hand from time to time, which doesn't really work out very well for her. She usually gets about that far and has to give up. But that just goes to show you just how much these snakes use their sense of smell more so than anything else. What's your question?
It blended with an Oreo.
Yeah, she'll blend in with a stack of Oreos real easy.
Oreos. What?
Then secret.
Why isn't it snake? He means why is it a snake?
Well, it's a snake because it lives underground and has a very specialized lifestyle. It's evolved for many, many years to be a snake. All right, one more question.
Why do people call them snakes?
Well, that's kind of an interesting question. I'm no linguist, but I can tell you the Finnish word for snake is snack. So maybe it came from the Finnish word, because there's a whole bunch of different words for snake around the world. But the one we use in English, snake, is probably from the Finnish word snack.
Hey Lance, I have a question.
Yeah.
Why are so many people
That is a very good question. They are so different than us that it's usually just sort of hard for people to wrap their minds around. And usually people's first experience with snakes is something kind of scary. They usually see them in a horror movie, or they have their friend toss a snake at them or something mean like that. And you know, that's just what I try to do in my presentations, is try to show people that they're really not something to be scared of. They're really, in fact, quite beautiful, quite docile creatures that really just want to be left alone. Even those rattlesnakes I was telling you guys about earlier, if you can just see them, you'll be totally safe. In fact, I've had more than a couple occasions where I just sit on a rock next to a rattlesnake and we watch the sunset together. It's pretty beautiful. But you know, that's just a good way to know that, but you know, that just goes to show you that these animals, they don't want to actually harm us. Even the venomous snakes with the powerful venom that could potentially send you to the hospital or worse, they don't want to harm humans. They just want to hide and be on their own and live their own life doing snake stuff. Hopefully that answers the question a little bit. Thank you. So, if you want to pet her, go ahead and put 2 fingers up in the air and I'll come around you, okay?
Lorenzo, put your hands up.
He's scared.
Put your hand up, Lorenzo.
Very gently.
If you want to pet it, Lorenzo.
That's okay, you don't have to. That's why I ask if people want to, they can raise their hand. If they don't have to. They don't have to, they don't want to, they don't have to.
Right there. What's that? What's that? What's that?
I just want to pet them.
Daddy.
Yeah. Kind of like a cat or a dog you pet. So, nocturnal is a word that means they're asleep during the day and awake at night. So this guy so from his perspective, it's about almost 4 in the morning from his perspective. So keep that in mind. He's kind of just been picked up by a giant, brought out of his bedroom and brought to a party full of other giants in the middle of the night. So he's just kind of like, what's going on? That's kind of his perspective right now. But he's a really cool lizard, and I want to tell you guys some really cool facts about him. You guys got to put your arms down. I'll ask you questions in just a bit. You guys got to sit down. I'll have questions in just a second, okay?
Just listen,
Those
Lorenzo.
are really cool. These guys come from the Middle East, and they have something in common with another Middle Eastern animal. They have something in common with a camel. Sorry. They have something in common with a camel. So, a camel all year round stores fat in its hump, just in case there's ever a drought or anything like that. They can survive for a good long while on the fat storage in their hump. And these guys do the same thing with their tails. These leopard geckos have a big old chunky tail that they use to store the fat from the worms, the moths, the spiders,
Yes,
all those
lizard.
other invertebrates that these guys really love to eat. Now, and that really helps them because then in their desert habitat, there could be droughts, and these guys could live for a good solid month or more on just what's in this tail. Now,
It's pretty.
so, like I was saying, this guy is a nocturnal animal. That means he's awake at night and asleep during the day. And you can usually tell nocturnal animals apart by looking at their eyes. If you look at his eyes, he's got eyes like a cat. And if you look behind his eyes, he's got ears. Those holes in the side of his head are just his ears. And if you're really lucky, you can see through them.
Listen.
You don't touch it. It bites. No, that one bites.
Yeah,
Look
lizards don't have big flappy ears like we do. They just kind of have a hole in the side of their head. Now, leopard geckos are very special in the world of reptiles. Now, and that usually comes about through their lifestyle. Like I said, they're nocturnal, so imagine this guy's wandering through the desert, and something like a cat or a snake sees him. It starts wandering up towards him. The first thing he's going to do is he's going to arch his back up. He's going to try and make himself look as big as possible.
That's
Might
his.
do a couple push-ups, and he'll wiggle his tail up in the air and try to make himself look as big as possible.
This one is
And
his.
usually that doesn't work.
That's Lorenzo.
So,
Tony, that's your.
usually what this guy has to do is rely on a very special trick
Thank
that
you.
only geckos and a couple other reptiles can pull off. In the world of reptiles, there are only 3 types of reptiles that can make any sort of voice, that can make any sort of sound with their own vocal cords. And those are crocodilians and alligators, like I'm sure. They can make a deep growling noise. They go. And then tortoises. Tortoises can make a little bit of noise too, believe it or not. They go. But geckos are very special in the world of reptiles because they can make a whole bunch of different noises. So, the word gecko actually comes from a really cool little lizard called the tokay gecko in Southeast Asia. So the tokay gecko in Southeast Asia, it actually says the name tokay. These guys climb way high up in the air. They climb way high up in the trees in the jungle, so they can actually, and they have a very hard time actually finding each other.
That's pretty.
Oh yeah? Blue-tongued skinks, they come from Australia, Indonesia. They're a really cool type of lizard. They're an omnivore. Does you guys know what omnivores are?
No.
So,
Yes.
So, omnivores are animals that eat both plants and meat. So, we're omnivores.
Oh,
we
I
as
didn't know
humans
that.
are omnivores.
Just like T-Rex.
Well, T-Rex was a carnivore.
Meat only, huh?
Yeah, some dinosaurs were omnivores, like Dinochirus. Have you ever heard of that one?
No.
Yeah, look up Dinochirus later. That's a really cool one. That's one of my new favorite dinosaurs.
Okay, I'll look on my computer.
Yes, Dinochirus. All right, so these guys are really cool. Now, they're an omnivore. That means they like to eat both meat and plants. So this guy will wander around the Australian bush looking for eggs, looking for berries, looking for snails, looking for pretty much whatever he can fit in his mouth.
I think it is good.
Nope, he's pretty nice. But if you were something like a dingo, he probably would. Because I'll tell you what, the reason these guys have that big old blue tongue of theirs, this blue tongue is actually bigger than his head. And he'll actually
has a blue
unroll that tongue
Yeah.
and
Oh my
actually show
God,
it off
look
to a
it.
predator.
He has a blue
When he
tongue.
gets scared by a predator, he'll stick that out, he'll open his mouth and go, "Rah, get away." He'll hiss and huff and puff and make a big deal out of it, trying to intimidate the predator into not messing around with this big old guy and his big old beefy jaws. And he's got to be intimidating because, as you can see, he's only got little tiny legs. He can't run anywhere very fast. So he's gotta worry more about defending himself, say, than other lizards that, like the monitor lizard that can run away. So this guy's got a really good jaw strength. He's got a really good warning that he can bite really hard with that blue tongue. And there's another really cool thing about these blue-tongued skinks that sets them apart from other reptiles in the world, and that is that these blue-tongued skinks give birth to live babies. Just like dogs and cats, they have a litter of puppies. Unlike most reptiles that lay eggs, these guys have puppies all at once. Yeah. So these guys are really cool. Now, do we have any questions about Corn, the blue-tongued skink here?
Why do you shed his skin?
Well, he's growing. You're shedding your skin right now.
Just like snakes do.
Yep, snakes shed their skin too. Well, you can't see through this guy's ear. He's a little bit too goofy for that. But he does have these cute little ears that have cute little scales that protect their ears. For the same reason we have these big old cartilage flaps. They protect our ears from any sand or anything getting in there. And these guys have those cool little scales that protect sand or anything from getting in their ears too.
Nice, Ruben, nice.
You are. What's up? So he has the blue tongue to scare away predators. You got to imagine when you're out hiking around, look around on the ground. You won't see very many bright blue things flashing at you and hissing. So that's kind of a scary thing that throws off a lot of predators. They see that big flashing blue tongue and they go, "Ah, what's that?"
Excuse me?
Hold on, he's got a question.
Let's go.
Oh yeah.
Can I see
He's
it?
pretty good about it. Yeah. All right. Any other questions about Corn here?
Okay.
Or one more.
What's the question?
Why does it need a small nose?
Well, he only has a little tiny nose, so he doesn't get a whole lot of dirt up in there when he's climbing through the
Crawling
dirt.
on the floor.
All right. So I'm gonna bring him around. You can pet him, and you'll see just exactly why I call him Corn. He feels kind of like a corn on the cob.
Petting him.
Excuse me?
Good pets.
Excuse me? Excuse me? It has a blue tongue. Why does it have a blue tongue?
He eats too much candy. So, these guys can make really good pets for the right people, but it takes a lot of effort. For instance, this guy was a rescue. He came from a girl that had to go off to college, and she didn't have enough room in the dorm to keep him with her. So she had to come live with me for a while.
It's good.
Yeah.